This week's episode is brought to you by Grand Projects. Things that can last a long time and usually take a lot of work. Grand projects are usually leading to something awesome. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Grand Projects. Strap in, everybody. This is going to be a fun month. Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night. If you want to describe this podcast in 2 words, it's fucking idiots. I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And I'm James.
Oh man, so we have a kind of an interesting prospect for everybody. The next 4 weeks of your amazing lives are going to be made amazinger by the fact that we're doing basically a 4-part episode covering all 3 gifts again and how it's affecting the meta now. Because about a year ago, we had 2 episodes about Protect and Accel and how they weren't doing so well, or how they were doing great and how they weren't doing so well, respectively. And now we're going to revisit that topic, and we've brought Mr. James to help us with that. And then at the end of it, we're going to reveal that project that I mentioned a few weeks ago that I was working on. And I'm going to plug it super hard for you guys, and I hope you go listen. So, yeah. Why don't we get started on this?
What project is this? I don't even know about this.
Oh, you'll find out. Get ready for the multi-hour meta discussion of Doom, as Root Beer called it, the multi-hour meta discussion of Doom. And then I see
You're welcome.
Yes, the best fucking title ever. So, I think we can all agree that as of the Phantasmal Steed set, Protect ain't doing so well anymore.
No.
It hasn't been doing well in, like, multiple sets.
What was the last Protect deck that people were like, hey, yeah, this is good?
Grand Blue for, like, all of 2 weeks.
That's true.
And then, like, OTT was, like, almost good when it got the Tsukiyomi stuff.
Yeah.
And
But,
then,
like, even as far back as, like, Dueling Dragons, I forgot what it was actually called now, but even back then, like, Protect was already kind of on a downward trend because...
Do you mean, referring to
Zanbaku?
Zangeki?
Yeah.
Zanbaku, the original.
Like, Zanbaku
Yeah, the original.
Zanbaku was, like, manageable if your name was Angel Feather.
Yeah. But, like...
But then, like, Shiryuki kind of, like, dethroned them, but, like, they were still kind of around. And then, like, once, like, the Gift 2s and Bermudas hit, that's where, like, everything went downwards for Protect and overall.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Bermuda and I think the Gift 2s are in the Bermuda kind of really the breaking point of, because, like, you still saw a ton of Angel Feather prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was like Shiryuki definitely sucked and stuff like that, but you could still kind of, like, because Shiryuki is worth, like, maybe a good, like, 3 to 4 cards on its own, but healing is also worth, like, a good maybe, like, 3 to 4 cards on its own. On top of that, healing, and if you take a damage, you can get a damage trigger off that, which would further increase the amount of cards you saved. On top of that, you kind of play around Zanbaku locking, which is a big part of their game plan too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the I think the last time Protect I thought was really good. I thought OTT was the best it's been recently. When it's the Tsukiyomi stuff, Tsukiyomi can just sack into this game, this game state where they, maybe luckily soul charge or set up a soul charge of a grade of another Tsukiyomi piece and can immediately stack a double crit like on grade 3 ride.
that's if you get lucky, though.
Right, but you do have to get a bit lucky for that. And the other one is you can play Mega Colony, which requires you to mill a 0 off of the axe skill on Gunning Colio, which is also getting lucky.
Yeah. And then
Folio's like,
I think you mentioned also that Dark Irregulars could kind of get there because they can just sometimes end games with hard legs.
Mm-hmm.
but they're just like not fast enough.
Yeah, Dark Irregulars is pretty good as well. It's sometimes fast enough, but again, it requires drawing lots of redundant pieces.
I mean, the good thing about the new DI stuff is that all of it is your just searching what you want to soul charge instead of going like, come on, big money on your. It's just like grab 3 copies of a thing, put it in soul. Great, there it is. Like,
Yeah, Brewfist is super good, and NLK obviously is still fantastic.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say because I remember like when Protect first came out, we were all like, "Yeah, Protect seems really whatever." Not sure how these gifts are going to be, and the Protect clans were all just absurd at the start.
Like,
Yeah.
I do have my opinions on like why this is, but it kind of it involves all the clans, and it's mostly like Bushiroad's philosophy of design for each clan.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like their shift in philosophy is what really like killed Protect in many ways.
The opening of the game, the first wave of everything, you had, in general, more Force clans getting supported. And Force clans are the majority of all the gift types. It's 10, 8 accel, and 6 protect. So you have early in the game's history, you had a better chance of doing well with Protect than you did any other clan because you would most likely run into a Force deck, especially something like Kagero or Royals, where it was just, you had TDs, you had a bunch of new people joining the game. It was just something that, people would do. And then, like we said before, accel was kind of butt at the beginning. So you were less likely to run with that. So Protect just had a good landscape for itself.
Mm-hmm. And then also, this is something we're going to bring up a lot over the course of this discussion, but the game was just slower back then, too. Like, most games you didn't really get into the end game until your second grade 3 ride, so as a Protect deck, you had time to kind of slow the pace down, build up to your finisher, and then end things with one really big turn. Whereas now, a lot of decks are starting to go off as soon as they hit grade 3, and a lot of Protect decks are still kind of riding on dragging the game out.
Which is
I think it's not so much that like Protect decks back in the day needed the time to slow it down. It's just that their tools for slowing it down were better back then because the other decks kind of like they got their accel decks always got the wheel rolling early on, especially like earlier in the meta, because back then their mid and late game was like near non-existent for most of them. So pretty much if you think of it as like an arms race between defensive tools of Protect and offensive tools of accel, back then it was just like the defensive tools of Protect were just insane compared to the offensive tools of the other decks. But now it's kind of shifted. Now the tools are so much stronger for dealing with Protect compared to before, and that in turn has increased the pace of the meta.
So I think there's so many different combinations of problems here, right?
Yeah.
Because in one sense, you would want to increase the pace of the game in order to make Protect less good, but it feels like we've gone really, really far. Is what is kind of I think the other part.
And something we'll get into later is like the how to speed up meta versus how to slow down a meta, and slowing down meta, spoiler alert, is kind of a hard thing to do in most cases.
Bushiroad also tends to overcorrect when it comes to something being a problem. Like, a good example is this last ban list, where they banned Ichikashima that they had just released like a month and a half before. And then they undercorrected in other ways, like only hitting Kirf, and that was kind of it. It feels like it's either like a tiptoe or a stomp. There's no walking going on.
And I think that kind of applies to like the way they've been making Protect decks too. Like recently, a lot of the Protect decks have been kind of questionable in terms of their support.
Please.
I think too, it's also that like other clans have been getting much more ways to get advantage. So like it's come to the point where Protect clans need like some surefire way to win the game. Like they need like hard legs is basically a surefire way to win the game because your opponent just can't feasibly call 3 cards to guard every time.
Yeah, no one has. In standard, nobody sees that many cards in a game.
Right, like you don't have 15 card hands. What's going on? And and the Antlion from Mega Colony can be literally unguardable. You literally cannot call cards to guard it if they mill that 0.
Because it's Antlion plus Droning Colio hits a 0?
No, plus the grade 1
Phantom Black?
Phantom Black.
Yeah.
Your opponent just literally cannot call cards to guard.
Because I know Antlion blocks Sentinels, and what does Phantom Black do? Blocks normal
Phantom
units?
Black says you can only guard with 0s. Yeah, so it blocks normal units.
Got it.
So if you mill the 0, you block everything.
Got it.
Like with something like Angel Feather, Feather Palace has been like known as one of the best finishers in the past.
Mhm.
But now there actually exists a certain accel deck that can generate so much advantage that they can guard 2 to 3 Feather Palaces and not care.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this before with that deck.
We'll get to that
Or
in the
like-
next episode.
Or a different accel deck can also just guard it, but they kill you fast, and then they wipe your board.
Yeah. But I kind of want to bring it up, and this was kind of talking about like some of the math I did for Silverthorn. Just kind of want to bring it up here while we're on the topic of card advantage.
Okay.
Compared to any Protect deck, Silverthorn generates more card advantage over the course of 2 turns than any of them, as well as has the highest grade 3 consistency of riding their main grade 3 in the entire game.
That is
I
very,
mean-
very true.
And
I don't
have,
want to
like,
get
I'll
too
go
much.
I'll get more into the math a bit later on like how many cards on the top of your deck you're actually checking for Lugia. But I'll get to that later.
Yeah, and we'll talk a lot more about that clan later too,
Mhm.
in general.
Look,
Yeah.
I just
love
want
the
to say
clan for the record.
I'm not mad about it. I love Pale Moon. But
I mean,
You play Golden Beast Tamer.
I play both, thank you very much.
so I think like the best Protect deck right now might be DI.
Yeah.
It's DI, and then I don't even know what the second best one is. I think there's just a big gap after DI.
Maybe
Yeah, and-
maybe Grand Blue, possibly. Like, it's...
I don't
know.
think it's Grand Blue.
I think it.
You
I
got a
think
better
it-
option? Nubatama, maybe? Although that set did just come out, so we're not really
Yeah,
Louis
sure.
it's-
Thomas stuff actually looks like okay, to be honest.
Yeah, it looks fine, but it hasn't done much yet. But there's like some typhoons going on, so it's hard to
Really fine, though.
take that meaning.
Yeah.
Like looking at the new Atama cards, that VR combined with some of its other stuff it has can pretty much like probably like remove cards from your opponent at the same rate of Hyuga to an extent.
Yeah.
If you have like the right setup, you can keep doing that every turn.
I mean, it's basically like wipe the board, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a weaker Hyuga.
The thing with Nubatama and Brufus is that both are cards that can, like we were saying, just you can win the game outright, but it also they're both cards that you can sit on. Because getting a perfect guard versus getting just a card off of like you would with Excel 2 is very different in that the perfect guard helps you not lose, whereas the drawing a card possibly could help you win, and there's a difference. So that means that with more decks, competing in this arms race for winning faster, that means there are less cards to go around when you're trying to not die. So a perfect guard essentially becomes half a card in card advantage because you have to discard for it. So that means that Protect decks are riding less than they were at the beginning of the game's history. Like early in the V Series anime, you had people go, like you had them riding 2 to 3 times a game, and it seems like in these more recent episodes, it's maybe twice, if at all. So I'm thinking that the grade 3 bosses that can do stuff and that you can just sit on are going to have an easier time than something like Gunning Colio, who has a skill that you have to constantly be rewriting in order to really put pressure on the opponent.
Yeah, I've not really had a problem with the rewriting aspect of Man Colony, only because the deck has like 8,000 ways to find grade 3s out of your deck.
Got a point there.
Like, the grade 2 Mantis guy, I think is just like one of the best cards in the deck.
But there was a time during Zanbaku where like having to rewrite constantly became a problem because you couldn't, and Angel Feather only survived because they could superior ride.
Yeah. To add on to the whole rewriting thing, to be very honest, even like playing Angel Feather now in like this current meta for some reason, I still don't find it that hard to re-ride either. I'm always like generally consistently getting a grade 3 I want to re-ride in general, because I guess one thing that I definitely like praise about Bushiroad's design early on in V series is that every single Protect clan, except for like maybe like Nubatama, had like a decent way to Nubatama and Grand Blue had like a decent way of like either gaining some kind of card advantage to their hand, or like directly adding grade 3s or finding grade 3s somehow. So even though like Protect had to constantly re-ride, they were like the clans that were best at doing it because they generated the most resources or had the best ways of picking it out from their deck. And I still think that they're still really good at it. The problem is that, like you said, the game pace is too fast, so you get less benefits off your vanguards because you can re-ride less, so you get less gifts, and of course, Protect 1 gifts are one-time use, and Protect 2 is completely gutted by everything else.
We'll get to that in a second.
But the other thing is, like, before, I think, like, even back in the day, they created a lot of mostly like accel vanguards and some force vanguards that you can just sit on, and I think that was very good design because compared to Protect decks, those decks had far less ways of getting the grade 3s they needed into their hand. They had far less ways to draw, far less ways to be consistent. Therefore, making it so that they only have to ride grade 3 once and get the maximum benefit, made sense because they're just overall less consistent at doing that versus Protect, which was much better at it. The problem is Protect is still doing that, but now the tables have completely turned, so that accel decks and Protect and Force decks have a lot of ways to get the grade 3s they want. So now not only do they have grade 3s that they can just sit on, they can constantly rewrite and keep getting gifts too, and not really care.
So
I think Murakumo, like for I guess I don't want to talk too much about it, but I don't find a lot of games where I'm rewriting a lot when I'm playing the accel decks. The games where I'm rewriting a lot, I'm usually playing a Protect deck. But yeah.
Well, it depends. At least from my experience, because for accel I've mostly been playing Silverthorn. Silverthorn can rewrite like it's nothing because some cards are like straight up kind of busted in that deck. Dorian and Lukia combo is a thing.
It's gross.
But it's kind of like for like even in like Kumo, you're doing at least a degree of deck thinning, calling stuff from your deck. You're at least like, you know, you're when you rewrite onto accel 2, you're at least drawing cards, so it incentivizes you to rewrite versus before rewriting is just a -1 and that means one less rear guard you can attack with. Now it's like if you can rewrite, that's like great. Now
I think like we're at the point where, like what Atlas mentioned about like Protect 1 gifts, like letting you stay alive a little bit longer, but not actually in any way progressing you to a point where you can win the game by the nature of the gift, is pretty rough.
Yeah.
Like it was great to start because like a lot of people didn't have like good ways to end the game, and then like and then so you could rewrite Imperial Daughter 3 times. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, you're just like, all right, I'm gonna keep slamming this card, and eventually, you will run out of ways to guard this shit. Eventually, or like, and that was even true for a lot of the early guard restrict. You would eventually run out of ways to guard it if you weren't playing a Protect deck, or even if you were, it doesn't matter.
So one question I had, and it was something I was thinking about, like, would Protect 1 be better if it was just a 1-card PG and you didn't have to discard for it anymore?
Objectively, yes.
I mean,
obviously, there's no downside.
Would it be good enough? Let's ask that question, right? Like, so would it be good enough if your PGs were 1-card or were like PGs with no discard cost?
Yeah.
Because even playing like some Force clans online on like Vanguard EX ranked recently, like I've been able to smush through some amount of Protects. Like even playing like DP, I'm like, oh, nice 3 Protect gifts you got. Oh, look, you have 0. So I think it would be a pretty substantial change, yeah.
At the same time, though, like Bushiroad's decision for how they put certain clans at certain gifts also had to do with discarding. So, like, Grand Blue in particular is what I think of, where they go, you can curate your drop zone by discarding for the protect gifts.
Yeah, sure.
You did it, but so, like, having it become a one-card PG is different, and would probably, like, Bushiroad is one of those game design companies where they lean a little bit too hard on aesthetic philosophy when it comes to card design.
Accurate.
What's the aesthetic philosophy for OTT getting rid of their cards?
They're not. It's just
No. It's the aesthetic philosophy of protect gifts is that they're an extra card in the hand. That's the point.
That's why. Like, OTT cares about cards in hand. Angel Feather, it just makes sense aesthetically. DI, Nubatama, and Meta Colony, I don't know. They were just like, fuck it, whatever. Like, Meta Colony, I guess to complete that kind of three nation trifecta, where you had an accel, a force, and a protect, but...
I actually think it's pretty good in Mega Colony. Like, it's nice.
Well, I think part of their decision to put certain clans into certain gifts is also their playstyle. Like, DI, you need to build up soul for your finisher, so they figured you're going to take time to build up soul, you need something to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And then Mega Colony was always seen as kind of a slower clan because of the stunning, so...
And then
also... Link Joker is force.
Come to protect. And then they have Link Joker as force, and everyone was just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I think...
they got rid of locking, which is like a huge improvement over the previous
now they
one.
use locked, like, what, plus and restand shit?
Yeah.
I mean...
Which is fine with me.
It's less oppressive to game design than how lock was before.
Well, lock before was a giant... I mean, it was, like, not busted, but it was kind of ridiculous for some clans.
Yeah. It's like it just hurt design.
But, like, imagine if they had kept lock and also kept protect and made Link Joker protect. Imagine how infuriating that would be. I have one attack this turn. Okay, PG.
Oh, no, you're exactly right.
Yeah. I think they made it force on purpose for that reason, just so they go, we're getting rid of lock in every way possible.
Yeah, basically.
Okay?
To force the attacks anyway.
So
I guess...
We did something similar to this, where a few weeks ago on October 3rd, we tweeted, 24 clans in Vanguard, 8 accel, 10 force, 6 protect. Let's say you could redo the gift assignments. What would you change so you have an even 8-8-8 split? And then you had some example. Someone goes Bermuda as protect because it's supposed to protect the virginity of everyone who plays that clan. And then
that's funny.
And then they put a gift of a guy going got him. And then someone said classic Link Joker as protect. I want to see the world burn. And then we replied, "You're a monster" from Shrek.
Yeah.
So just stuff like that, where a lot of the aesthetics of the clan have to do with Bushiroad's game design. What were you going to say, Root Beer?
I was about to move on to, like, Protect being kind of questionable. Like, now that we've kind of gone through Protect 1.
Yeah, let me just kind of tee this up here. So, when they announced...
I will say that for the thing you tweeted earlier, I would probably put Bermuda into accel. That would be gross with all the superior calling they had.
I would kill you. Me personally, I wanted Shadow Paladin as protect, and then I would have swapped Neo Nectar and Great Nature to be.
Why would you want Shadow Paladin protect? That doesn't make sense.
You have a paladin on each clan. It feeds into ritual, and
yeah, but it doesn't match the aesthetics, like you said.
Well, yes, it does.
I put Genesis into
well, because if you're trying to split all of your like you build up a bunch of stuff and then release it all in one money shot, that kind of makes sense for protect. So that was my opinion anyway. Anyway, so regarding this gift 2 thing, what was it, about 6 months ago? Bushiroad was like, "Hey guys, we are giving you a second set of gifts," which we've talked about at length, and we have an episode about it. You can go listen for more details. But back in that episode, we said, man, Protect 2 is the best new gift, and we were so wrong.
I think the problem is, like, Protect 2 caught our imagination the most because it was the most different from its original gift.
Which,
and I think we might have mistaken being interesting for being good.
Because what it does is it's something that doesn't go into hand, but it goes on your rear guard circle. And whatever's on it gets 5,000 power permanently and plus 10,000 shield. Now, what they didn't do was give it intercept, whatever was on there. So you would have to call a grade 2 for that to be useful in any significant capacity. And then on top of that, you had, you have Aqua Force, which on Glory Maelstrom prevents the opponent from intercepting, right when that's important. You have Narukami, which is a 1-card discard to wipe your front row. And you have things like Hyuga, which can board wipe you before they start attacking. So Protect 2 is just goddamn useless most of the time.
Not only that, but like the Protect decks, because playing a lot of grade 3s is really important. A lot of the Protect decks are playing like 12 to 14 grade 3s. And those cuts have to come from somewhere, and that usually comes from your grade 2s. Because you have more time to find a grade 2 than a grade 1.
Mm-hmm.
So like, even if you're playing a clan like, even OTT, which plays a fairly low number of grade 3s as far as Protect goes, plays 11. And that's because they can find their grade 3s very consistently. Like, I think in Mega Colony I have 14.
14? Holy shit.
Yeah, I play 4 Stag, 4 Gunning Colio, 2 Demise, and 3 Demise, 2 Antlines, so maybe 13, sorry.
Oh my god. That's awful.
Like, Demise is great, though. Like, I'm not going to cut that guy.
Oh, no, I mean awful in, like, how many grade 3s you're forced to run to do stuff?
Yeah, but, Stag is just the best first ride. It's just how it is.
The thing about grade 3s and Protect decks is a lot of grade 3s and Protect decks are, like, legit, like, and I think this is kind of a thing that's in V-Series as a whole. Grade 3s are not bad attackers on rear guard circle at all, and generally now anymore. The problem is they don't have intercept and no shield value.
Right.
Yeah.
So, one thing when I play Nubatama, this is before new stuff. Like, I would call, I think it was Voidmaster, stuff like that, attack with him. Like, that's great and all. But, so the mechanic of Nubatama, like the bouncing and then calling again with Mogatsu Storm, encourages you to use Protect 2. But Voidmaster is a very good offensive rear guard, very good on the offense as a rear guard. And he also, for a very cheap cost, 1 counterblast enables your Mogatsu Storm to go off. But, he can't intercept.
Nope, sure can't.
But I think Protect 2, honestly, Protect 2 was a really, creative and good idea. I think that in a vacuum, saying we're just looking at the gifts by themselves, I think Protect 2, there's not a huge gap between Protect 2 and everything else. The problem is, like Atlas said, there's a bajillion cards that just completely destroys the value of Protect 2 in every single possible way.
Because the problem is, in something like Yu-Gi-Oh!, where you can negate the opponent's stuff during their turn, there's not really anything you can do in Vanguard. The opponent can just do what they want until they start attacking. That's where the interaction comes in, which is when you guard. And in Standard, at least, there's not really any stuff. You're not, calling things on the opponent's turn and, doing Denial Griffin and things like that. It's all just surviving so you can do your next turn. So to have your stuff be a little bigger and have a lot of shield, but not anything to do with it, there's no way to protect your protectors, so to speak. It would be like if the opponent could go, all right, I call Berserk Dragon and I retire the Protect gift in your hand. That's basically what it's like.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to bring this up because we talked about, if we altered Protect 1 to only cost itself to PG, what if we altered Protect 2 to be a 15k shield in hand?
So how would that work with your board then?
So on ride, you get a gift that's worth 15k shield.
Yeah.
And that's it?
Yeah.
So it would also go to hand. And then,
yeah. Rather than just affecting...
But unlike a PG, you don't have to discard a card. It's just 15k in your hand.
Okay.
I think that would be...
I think
it would be better than Protect 2 currently.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if you could... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, because I'm going to say, the problem right now is, neither Protect gift stands up against the meta. Right now, the top decks, which are, in our opinion, Murakumo and Pale Moon, they can make a modest number of attacks at a fairly large size, and like Protect 1, you're going to run out of cards if you keep Perfect Guarding, and Protect 2, either circumvent it or you intercept twice, and then what? Like, it doesn't add enough to your defenses to really circumvent the Murakumo and Pale Moon being able to attack you 4 or 5 times at large numbers.
And it's not
the
just,
other top deck also does that, Shadow Paladin.
Yeah, Shadow Paladin does that too.
because Force gets the multi-attack now, I guess.
I mean, having 4 attacks instead of 3 doesn't seem that bad. Now, having 5
five.
attacks that are all at 40k or more, that's a bit of a problem.
Well, you like to see your opponent with 4 Force gifts, like, fucking immediately.
Ugh. The worst
Just
part
to
is
kinda
there's not really a way to permanently get rid of that blaster dart unless you bind it. It's a problem. I'm going to
Just
call
to
it back to
kinda add on-
Master Aid.
Oh, hold on. Go on, James.
Oh, yeah. Just to kind of add on to the whole Protect 2, you intercept twice and then you're done kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're still, like, minusing to do what you're needing to do there.
Yeah.
And, like I said, referenced quite a few times earlier, Silverthorn has a retarded advantage engine. So even though Silverthorn don't exactly have a way to, retire those rear guards, they just completely outvalue you in, like, every single way.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that is definitely a thing. I was also thinking, what if you had... I want to take you back to our episode when Promise Daughter first came out. And I tried to do a podcast by myself, and that was almost as bad as the God Hand episode. But I was talking about how Promise Daughter having protection from Phantom Blaster Dragon made it so that Shadow Paladin was at a major disadvantage. Now, that wasn't necessarily true, but I think that the Protect 2 gift should have at least either have given some kind of protection to your protector by whatever's on it can't be chosen, or something like that.
Gets 5k, Alice.
Matt, I'm going to kill you. The other thing was, why not just give whatever's on that circle intercept? Why not just add that on? Was there such a big problem with doing that?
I feel like it was an oversight on Bushiroad's part. Like, they legit forgot about it. Because especially, like, when you look at the new Nubatama stuff, I think they're correcting for it right now. Nubatama tokens, I believe they can intercept from the back row.
Indeed they can. You are correct, sir.
Yeah, so I definitely 100% think that Bushiroad got to add intercept.
Yeah, that would make sense. Now the question is, can't they just errata Protect 2 gifts and leave it at that?
I think the thing with is, like, erratas are very nasty to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I don't even want to go into
Especially
Yu-Gi-Oh's
big erratas like this.
Yeah, because that's
yeah,
game-wide. That's not...
Yeah, this is basically like rewriting like a major rule, which would be a giant pain in the butt.
They'll also have to, like, every time someone plays a gift, they have to, like, go through the rule book or whatever, or they have to, like, reprint a bunch of gifts too.
I mean, they print gifts with every set. It wouldn't be that hard to just from, then on.
It wouldn't be that hard, but this is, like, a problem that kind of happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! When there's, like, a major reprint of a card that was, like, used a lot. Is mostly, like, just getting those into circulation when the now incorrect version is everywhere.
Us coming up with, like, new Protect 2 effects is mostly just speculative, like, what will we do to try and improve Protect? Another thing I was thinking of, like, what if it would allow you to intercept without having to retire the thing that's guarding? Like, you intercept with it, and it goes back to the rear guard circle afterwards.
Or what? Instead of going to the rear guard circle, what if it goes to your hand so you can like double guard with the same card, but not in the same battle?
That would be
Yeah,
good.
that sounds better. That should have been Nubatama's thing. That would make so much sense.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Actually,
I guess my go on.
Oh no,
Well,
I'm just saying that I really like the sound of that idea.
Yeah.
I like Matt's idea of, like, it goes to your hand and you can double guard with it,
Mhm.
but I'm not a huge fan of it, like, just going back to the rear guard circle.
Because then that never ends.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of oppressive because it means, like, oh man, in order to get a good hit in, I must attack the rear guard first.
Yeah, but the idea of, like, you intercept with something and instead of losing the card, you kind of get it back.
Yeah, but then no one's gonna no one's really going to go for the Vanguard first unless they have a giant-ass number. They're just going to hit the rear guard first with a low number, then go for your Vanguard.
But that's still one less attack you have to deal with then.
But I'm saying that's a little oppressive for the other side. You know what I'm talking about? Like I can't hit with any of my low columns until I absolutely attack this rear guard, and that's just like kind of oppressive.
That is a way to slow the game down, though.
That's true.
Which you mentioned at the beginning of the episode.
That's true. I just don't know like to what extent that would be. And I think it's also kind of an unfun mechanic because you don't really get a choice of choosing who you attack, or not much of a choice. But I don't know.
I mean, only having 10k extra shield isn't that big, depending on what you are. It's a 15k shield usually is guards most of the smaller attacks, but
average for Silverthorn is somewhere between 22 to 30k, so that would legitimately be able to just repeatedly guard a few attacks from Silverthorn.
That's good then. That's a good thing.
I'm just saying, like, that's for Silverthorn. There are other decks, like Excel decks, that hit for lower numbers than that, and then it just suddenly becomes like, I have to attack this card. And then this card also gets plus 5k power because of Protect 2, and that can stack. So it suddenly becomes a little possibly oppressive, but this is all speculative.
Okay.
Protect is my favorite gift, my favorite type of clan to play. But I'd rather have a fair, fun game than an overpowered clan.
Just kind of throwing ideas out there.
Yeah, I like the concept, like a way to guard but not quite lose the card advantage off of it, which is why I kind of thought with the 15k shield to hand kind of thing. But like having the ability to also give your rear guard something too, something like maybe increase the offense a little bit, could probably make it so the games are slower but not quite as slow as before.
Yeah. And then one last bad idea is if Protect 2 was a Denial Griffin instead.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What?
Explain this idea in detail. How does this work?
Yeah. No, just Protect 2 would be a card that goes into your hand, and then when you place it down, you could counterblast and retire the attacking rear guard, like Denial Griffin.
Oh God.
So if I play Angel Feather, who can constantly flip their counterblast back up, and I reride Zeracle 2 times in a turn, plus my normal ride for that turn, I can get 3 Denial Griffins in my hand.
That's my favorite game against Angel Feather, where they ride grade 3s and have 3 protect gifts, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Well, now it's not scary anymore.
Yeah, I think this is a terrible idea. It would just be incredibly funny if this was a thing.
I'm kind of all for the shit posting, honestly.
Now that I think about it, Zerakill might actually be a design problem for Protect.
Oh, do tell.
Because whatever you make, let's say they make a Protect 3, they have to account for someone possibly sacking Zerakill and doing it getting 3 gifts in a turn.
Yeah. I mean, well, when it was just a perfect guard, then it's not like you're using it that turn.
No, but it's still pretty insane. It's much tempo.
No,
it pretty much means to the Force deck or Excel deck, you're not killing me for the next 3 turns.
I mean, isn't that the point? So
yeah, I mean, it's it guarantees it. It's not like you have to you get it right then and there, and then it also just completely sets up for Feather Palace.
What if it, instead of retiring, it bounced it to the opponent's hand? So that they still get their card back, but you're also shutting an attack off that turn.
What do you mean you bounce it back to your opponent's hand?
You just counterblast 1 and you return the attacking unit to the opponent's hand.
Hell no, I wouldn't want to do that. It would give them more guard in their hand. Also protects their good rear guards.
Yes, but then also it's 1 less attack you have to deal with if they're going to stand it back up. Or if
but let's take a look at a deck like Silverthorn, who wants to put all their cards in the soul at the end of the turn anyway.
Yeah, so that's 1 less card that they're putting into their soul.
But it just goes to their hand that they can guard with now too, or just call them the next turn.
Now, if all of your finishing things are getting guard restrict and stuff, then that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Look, I'm not saying this is a great idea.
What's the difference between that and them just going to the soul? I think the bouncing thing is actually counterproductive. It makes it harder for Protect to actually kill their opponent.
This is my shitpost idea. This is my reply to Root Beers. I'm not saying they should do it. I'm just saying this is a thing they can do.
Yeah. Or returning it back to the deck.
That would be actually...
That'd be crazy.
That'd be disgusting.
Oh, what, you're going to complain about it now, Mr. Huga?
I mean,
Yeah.
we think Murakumo is disgusting. We play it because it's disgusting.
I mean,
I
have you seen
called
that
it
deck?
for the record.
Have
So
you
there was
seen
a
that
chance.
deck? Maybe if I could read properly, it'd be okay. I would have better card evaluation, but I can't read. Like all Vanguard players, I'm unable to read.
I mean, reading is hard.
Yeah.
And also, I just can't believe he made it through his undergrad and his master's
Look, man.
without being able to
I mean,
read.
look.
That's crazy.
Look, sometimes I'm like in front of the meta, and sometimes I am a little slow. It's all right though. I was wrong, and now I've corrected this.
Yep. So yeah, protect. They really gotta fix. They should do something though. They either errata or if they do a third gift, God forbid. Imagine how crazy that would be if every 6 months they come out with a new gift. So now you gotta keep thinking of different strategies and things like that.
What if they just come up with a third gift, but only for protect? They're like, accel, you don't get one. Force, now you also don't get one. Just protect 3.
Well, no,
Nobody else.
but Matt, they already did that with Protect 2. They gave Accel a gift, they gave Force a gift, and they didn't give Protect a gift.
Oh, you're right.
He
I'm
did
sorry.
it. They
It's
should.
coming out. Call it Protect 2. Be like, we forgot to give Protect 1 last time. Here's Protect 2. We apologize, and everyone's like, what?
or just pull a straight to DVD Disney movie. Call it Protect 2.5.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. You're right.
Yeah, here's your Lion King 1.5. Enjoy, everybody.
I think straight to DVD Disney movies should have been illegal. They were all a travesty.
I mean, look at this. Aladdin 4. Jafar may need glasses.
Like, I don't want to get on this tangent. It's just all straight to DVD. All straight to DVD Disney movies are terrible, and I'm sure we're gonna get comments about. But I liked insert straight to DVD Disney movie.
Something
And I'm
player
like, that's
preference?
great. I'm glad. Sure.
Yeah.
What sucks is I actually think like Meg Colony when I'm playing Meg Colony is like pretty fun. I just know that if the game goes poorly and I'm mildly unlucky, I just cannot win the game.
Same.
Like
I play Angel Feather, I feel the same way.
I ride Gunning Kolio, and then I'm like, all right, I'll activate this skill, and then I'll use the grade 1 6K to shove the grade 3 guy into Soul, like a Demise or something. And I'm like, whatever, get in there.
Yeah.
And then the next turn I'll ride Gunning Kolio, have 2 grade 3s in Soul ready to go, and be like, let's see what I mill. For his on ride skill, mill like a 0. I'm like, all right. Activate his effect, mill 3. I'm like, great. Everything is going perfectly.
Kind of feel the same way about OTT. I still love OTT, but the only way to win is if you get lucky and soul charge Tsukuyomi right away.
But man, those games are hilarious.
Or
You're just all right, activate Tsukuyomi skill. I'm going to draw 3 cards. Hold on, let me check my top 7 or whatever it is. And then I'm confusing it in the deer, so please hold.
I think deer
I'm
is
going to
7.
put these 2 cards on top. I wonder what they could be. Or if worst case, one's not a crit. You only find 1 crit in there, right?
Yeah.
You're whatever, other card on top. Play that grade 1 that you can draw a card, put a card from your hand on top.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're like, oh look, I have it.
Yeah, sometimes you'll just double crit on grade 3. The fuck are they gonna do?
And then it gives your whole board your front row 10k, because why the fuck not?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very annoying to deal with.
Tsukuyomi is great, just really high rolly.
Yeah.
Which is
Angel Feather is just don't play against the meta decks, and it's kind of okay. The meta decks just shit all over Angel Feather.
Yep.
The meta, the 3 top meta decks just have so much advantage,
Yeah.
and can't. The other clans would need to keep up with that advantage while having ways to defend themselves, or
Okay, just saying, right. We'll get in more detail later, but Silverthorn, 2 turns, plus 13.
That's a lot.
That's, So
I think we're running out of steam for Protect.
I was going to say this is probably a good point to stop, but we will see you all next week where we will talk about accel dominance in our multi-hour meta discussion of Doom. Guys, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter at Wiggums, 2Gs, 2Zs.
You can find me at Plasma Eclipse.
I don't do social media, so just talk to these guys.
I still find that funny. All right, and then you can find me at Atlas Novak on Twitter or Instagram, or you can find this show at Nexus at Night on Twitter or Instagram. Until next time, and I say this ironically because we're going to start recording the next episode immediately after. But I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
I'm James.
And have a good night, everybody.